Splitting data into columns with PowerQuery. Here we are in my columns splitting workbook. I have a small data set here that includes the name email column and the ID column. And if I look closely, I'm going to see that there's a last name. Some of the records have a title, first name, and then an email address. Over in the ID column, we have a full ID, but within each of these is a department code. They're letters. Some have 3 letters, some have 2 letters, as you can see. What we want to do is we want to end up with all of this split out into individual columns. And the way it should look is like this. We have a last name column, first name column, email, ID, ID department, and domains. We're going to split out the domains from the email address. Let's take a look how we get this done. With our active cell within this data set, just anywhere, I'm going to click in here and go to Data ribbon tab. Over in the Get and Transform Data group, I'm going to click From Table Range. Now I could just right click in this area and click on Get Data from Table Range. It's going to do the same thing. When I click on that, it's going to open up a little dialog box saying, is this the range that you'd like, and does it have headers? It's already selected and check marked. I'm going to click OK. This opens up my PowerQuery editor window, as you can see here. Now I can see my name email columns already selected, and that's what I want. From here I'm going to come up and look to see, I want to separate out the email addresses first. And it just so happens that the email address is the last set of data after a comma space. As you can see here, there's comma space, comma space. It's all to the right side of the data set. So I'm going to come up here to my Home ribbon tab. Over in the Transform group, I'm going to click Split Column. Then I'm going to click By Delimiter. That opens up my little Split Column by Delimiter window. And I'm going to keep it on Custom. Come down, replace that @ sign with a comma space. Why a comma space? Because if I look closely, I can see that it's comma and then a space that separates the first name from the email address. That's good. Then I'm going to choose rightmost delimiter, because that is the rightmost, correct? And then I'm going to click OK. Let's take a look. Ba-bam! Looks good. So now I have my email address separated out. I'm going to rename this column here. I'll just double click the column header and then call this email. Next I'm going to select the first column here, and I want to separate the last name and title from the first name. The first name is always on the rightmost side, so I'm going to come back to Split Column by Delimiter. I'm going to change this from comma, because it's not only a comma, it's also a comma and space. And then I'm going to choose rightmost delimiter, click OK. Look at that. Let's rename some of this. This first column is last name, so I'm going to click inside here and do L name. And then I'm going to double click the first name column, put F name. That's a short and abbreviated first name for the column. Then I'll press enter. Pretty simple. Next I want to separate out that ID department from this column ID. And I'm looking to separate out the letters from the numbers. So while doing that, I also want to keep a full copy of my ID column. So I'm going to right click the header here for my ID, and I'm going to just choose duplicate column, because I want that to remain the same while leaving this column as just the ID department. So with this selected, I'm going to come up to my split column, and now down here I'm going to come down and choose non-digit to digit. Now look at that. It split out the first set, which is the far right side of this column, into just its own column with numbers. I'm going to right click that column header and choose remove, because we don't need that. We're looking to drill down to get just the letters. So now I'm going to select this again, come to click on split columns, and then this time instead of non-digit I'm going to choose digit to non-digit. And look at that. There's the column that we want to keep. It's separated out all the numbers. I'm going to right click on this and remove it, and here it is. I'm going to rename this one as ID department. Just like that, abbreviate the word department. So there we have it. Now Next, what I want to do is have a column over here that has only the domains from this column. So I'm going to select the email address column, and then I'm going to come up to Add Column ribbon tab. Over in the General group, I'm going to click Column from Example. I'm going to click the bottom half here, and then I'm going to choose From Selection because I have it selected. Now before I click anything at all, I'm going to look over here and see that the first record's domain begins with 99mothlabs.org. Pretty simple. So I'm not going to click anything, I'm just going to start typing, because this column over here is my example and it's going to start entering there. So I'm going to start typing 99. As you can see, it appears over here now. And then I'll finish typing it just like that. Now when I'm finished typing it, I'll press enter. And when I do, you see it fills it automatically all the way down. This is very similar to a flash fill feature, but it's happening within our PowerQuery. So here we go. If I look up here at the very top, this is a top bar here, and this is the add column for examples, from examples, and then down here it's telling me in what way did it separate that information out. It says text after delimiter, email, comma, and then it's using that ampersand sign right there because it's identified everything after the ampersand sign is what's going to fill over here. Pretty simple. Now when we're finished, I'm going to click OK. And there's our new column. I'm going to rename this as domains. Pretty simple. Now we're all finished. We have our 6 separate columns that we just created from the 2 columns we started with. Now on our Home ribbon tab, I'm going to come to the Close group and click the bottom half of Close and Load. And then I'm going to choose Close and Load 2. Now that opens up my little dialog box here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose Existing Worksheet. I'm going to leave it as a table because that's what I want to import it as. I'm going to select cell E1 and then click OK. And then Shazam, look at that, it adds it automatically for me to the worksheet. Now it opens up the Queries and Connections task pane over here. I'm just going to close that down because I'm not too worried about that right now. So if I zoom out a little bit, I can see now I started with this 2-column table into a 6-column table. Why is that beneficial? Why would I ever consider doing that? Is because it allows me to sort more easily. For example, if I wanted to have all of the departments sorted A to Z and the last name sorted A to Z, this is how we'll do it. I'm going to come to my Home tab and go to Sort and Filter and then choose a Custom Sort. Now in here I'll choose Department ID and then choose Add a Level and then maybe do last name. Oops. Pretty simple, and they're both A to Z. And I'm going to click OK. This is the results of what that looks like. You can see you can manage your data considerably easier if you have your data broken into multiple columns. Alright, well, thanks for joining me. I hope this helps, and we'll see you in the next exercise.